Hi everybody, a very warm welcome back to the MEC-TEC garage, and we are working on the Ninja again today. Now at the end of the last video you would have seen me very happy and proud of myself that I got it all running, and I was happy as Larry. I went away, the bike was running, and I came back in the garage and it went there. I was like, oh okay, what's happened there then? So I tried to start it again, nothing, totally dead. No ignition, no crank, no lights. The front and rear tail lights, front lights, headlights and tail lights and indicators and all that work. The immobiliser flashes when you put the thing on the fob, that works. The horn works, so all that works, but I've got no crank and no oil or neutral light when I switch the ignition on. So we need to delve in and do a bit of diagnostic work. I didn't obviously plan this because I didn't know it was going to happen, but I've checked all the fuses, they're okay. I've checked the main fuse, which is on a separate holder, that's okay. So I'm a bit of a loss at the moment to what's happened to it. So I need to obviously have a look into the wiring side of things. I'm going to take this airbox back off because there is a multi-plug under here, which I want to check out and make sure that everything's obviously still plugged in where it should be and I haven't disturbed anything. So yeah, we need to delve in and see what we can find, because I have no idea what's wrong with it at the moment. So let's crack on and see if we can get this thing going again. Okay, with the airbox removed again, you can see this multi-plug I was talking about just here, and you can see inside there the contacts are very corroded in there. So I'm firstly going to clean all those up with a bit of emery paper and see if it's just some corrosion on the terminals that's got high resistance or whatever, and give that a good clean up, and we'll try that and then see what we get. So I'll come back to you in a minute when I've given that a little bit of a clean up and go from there. Rightio. Before I went any further taking things apart on the bike, I thought to myself, I'd just check them fuses again, because I have gone through them all twice and they were okay. I've just checked it again and sure enough we had a blown fuse, the ignition fuse. So I've changed that for another one and we are back on. As you can see, we've got ignition lights again, and I was panicking over nothing, which is great. So that's all right, and we've got crank again now because I've checked that too. So now we can turn our attention to maybe have a look at this fuel tap and seeing if we can find out why this is clogged up inside and get it cleared out. I'll come back to you in a minute. Rightio, as you can see here now, I've took the screw out of the middle of that dial, which then showed me this plate which had those two screws in it, which I took off. And I didn't think I could get any further because this piece here, oh, it's got a little O-ring on the end of it, was sitting in there like that, and I thought, well that's it, I can't go any further. But having hit it with a little bit of compressed air, this then popped out, which has allowed me full access inside the tap, which is great. So I'm going to give this a real good clean out, get a little I might even use the little carb brush, just give it a little bit of a clean out. Maybe I've run out of carb cleaner, so I might use a little bit of probably not thinners because it'll eat into the rubber, but maybe some body panel wipe just to clean it out a little bit, and we should hopefully, fingers crossed, be good to go. I'll get this cleaned up and I'll come back to you. I've just managed to unscrew, well, I don't know if it's unscrewed or it's just popped out, this bottom pipe, but can you see in there, completely full of junk, and I've been blowing compressed air through that and it still wouldn't clear it out. So you can see there now that definitely wanted sorting out because there wasn't a lot getting through there. So I want to clear all that out with a little screwdriver and then hopefully put it back together, and hopefully that should cure our problem. The only thing I'm slightly concerned about is I think I need a new O-ring for that, because that's gone. So yeah, we might have to put get an O-ring for that, but that's okay. Let's carry on. Okay, as you can see there now, that is all lovely and clean in there. I soon realised that you're never going to get an O-ring in around this because it is such a tight fit inside there, so I've just put a little smear of RTV in there. I don't think it comes into contact with petrol once it's pushed in that tight, so we should be fine on that side of things, but I just put a little smear around it just to obviously give it something to seal it. So now all I need to do is put the rest of this tap back together again, all these bits and bobs. Actually I've got to clean that bit up because that's a bit grotty, and we should be back in business. I don't know if you can see on the bench here, hang on, move the camera, all that grit and gunk and all that grit and white powdery gunk over the vice there is what came out of that tap. So it just shows you all that was blocking up the fuel ways and obviously not allowing the fuel to get through, so that's why we didn't have fuel going through it. Right, I'm going to get this put back together and then hopefully we can get it put back on the bike. Lovely jubbly, let's carry on. Right, there we go then. Got the new freshly cleaned fuel tap back on, which is connected, I think, correctly. Not 100% sure because I'm going off pictures that I've taken that aren't very good. So I want to obviously start it up again. I can't do that right this second because it is quite late at night. So I've just got all that connected back up, ready to go, all the clamps on and everything else, so I don't get any fuel leaking anywhere. And what I want to do is start it up with the tap off to obviously drain this fuel filter out a bit and then switch it on to make sure I know it's working all right and it should be obviously flowing through okay. So the next job we've got is going to be, I think, the front indicators. So I shall, I think I'm waiting for them in the mail at the moment, so as soon as they arrive we'll crack on with that. Let's carry on. Look what's turned up in the mail. New front indicators for the Ninja. Lovely. So I've just quickly had a look at this, and as you can see that's hanging, that's the rubber that came off of it, which is completely disintegrated and perished. And obviously this is the old indicator hanging down here. It's just got two little bullet connectors by the looks of it. I'm assuming they're bullet connectors. If they're not, I'm going to have to put bullet connectors on there because that's what the new ones have got. So I'll do a little bit of investigation into that, see whether there's any actual plugs. If not, then we may have to cut these because they look like they're actually heat shrunk together. Maybe not, maybe bullet connectors. I'll have a little look and I'll come back to you in a second. Right, these are indeed bullet connectors. They've pulled apart, no problem at all. There's the new ones with the new bullet connectors on. So what I'm going to have to do now, I think, is take this trim panel off here, and that will allow me access behind, because you have to, I think you have to take this metal plate off the back, push the rubber part through the fairing and then put the metal plate on the back, and as you can see obviously it's got a little lip on the edge of each side to stop it from falling out, and that keeps everything strong hopefully. So I'm going to have a little investigation into this panel, see what I've got. I think it's only one screw and a clip under here, and then I think the possibly the air vents underneath there as well, so I might have to take that out, but hopefully we'll be able to get in there fairly easily and we'll get these fitted. Hopefully it should be a nice simple job. Lovely jubbly, let's carry on. Right, you lot are going to think I'm really sad now, but this is the original indicator, but you'll notice the rubber is intact. Now that is the rubber off the new one, and I've used all the original hardware inside and everything else. The main reason for that is if you look at the size of the spay terminals on these original ones, they're very slim compared to the ones on the new ones are very thick, which means I would have had to have modified the wiring, which isn't a great problem, but as the bike is literally totally original, I thought it'd be a shame to start hacking the wiring about just for the sake of two bullet connectors. So what I've actually done is took both the new and the old light apart, and I've swapped, basically using everything from the original unit, the original light, everything else. Only thing I've changed is the rubber boot, and that will allow me then to just plug these straight back in to the original wire connectors. It'll all be factory, and I'm even going to use all the original hardware because it's black, the original hardware, you can see that there. Although it's a little bit dirty, it's not rusted at all, so I think that is probably better quality than the stuff you get with the new aftermarket ones. Having said that, I say aftermarket, these lights are actually the same make according to the lens. They say Stanley on them, which can't really see very well, but it's just about to see it in the reflection there, Stanley, which is the same as the originals. Says it there, just about to see it in the reflection again, Stanley. But originals are a slightly different shape. You can see they're more square. These ones are flatter on the lens, and I just thought, well, I can reuse the originals and just use the bit I need out of the lights. So although I've bought new lights, it was cheaper to buy the new lights with the rubber boots with them than it was to buy the rubber boots on their own, if that makes sense. So that's my logic. So it literally took me 5 minutes to swap that over, so that's fine. So now I'm going to try and get that plugged back into the original connectors, which are there, and get it bolted in, and we should be good to go. Lovely jubbly, let's carry on. Okay, as you can see there now, I've got that indicator, which is the original one with the new boot, back in the hole, but although I've taken this top trim pan off, I can't get this air duct out. So I think it's going to have to be a case of, I've taken these 3 trim screws out here. I'm probably going to have to do the same the other side, and also these bolts that bolt it to this cage, and actually slide the whole nose cone forward, just so I can get a bit of access behind there, because obviously I can't get a screwdriver in there, because you can see there's no gap at all. So that is going to be the next step, is to hopefully get this front nose cone loose, just so I can move it forward enough to get a screwdriver in there to tighten this up. Obviously then we can move on to the other side, do the same, then put it all back again. Oh dear, simple job? No, of course it's not. It's never a simple job. There's always more involved. Let's carry on. Okay, as you can see here now, things have progressed slightly. I've got the whole nose cone off the front of the Ninja now. You can see these are the 2 plugs either side for the indicators. This is the headlight plug and that's the side light plug. There are 2 bolts on each of these brackets. 2 bolts which hold the mirrors on, which go through to this big bracket on the top here, which you have to take off, and 3 screws down either side, and then the whole front just pulls off. So this is at the stage I'm at now, where I've got the air duct on the back of the nose cone, as you can see, which I'm going to have to try and take off. Now I've got the left hand side loose, which is just 1 little screw under here, but this side for whatever reason is not undoing, and it's obviously got a fixing into the side of this air vent, so I need to try and get this side off. Then I can remove this air vent section and get to the backs of the fascia to obviously screw in the new indicators. So that's where I'm at the moment. When I've done a bit more progress, I'll come back to you. Well, as you can see there now, the air duct is off. It's there, so it gives me good access to the complete back of the fascia now. Now this one I pushed in from the outside, I've just screwed in. It's basically like 2 plates. You push the actual indicator into the hole, the rubber bit, and then you put the first plate inside the rubber, which spaces it out, and then there's another rubber which goes over the top of the outside of it, which has got a little let's see it better on this one. It's got a little sort of legs that go on the outside of the rubber to stop it splaying out, which obviously stops it from pulling through the fascia. So what I need to do now is get the other original one of these, get all the bits swapped over. I know it's sad, but I'm going to do it anyway. Get all that swapped over, and then I can get the other original one with this new rubber put back in that hole there, put it all back together again, and maybe give it a quick clean, and then we can start getting it back on the bike. Lovely jubbly, let's carry on. Okay, I just thought I'd show you this bit in real time. You can see I've pushed the indicator through from the outside, so the rubber is through into the groove, and this inner plate goes on the inside of these little tangs, and then all you've got, obviously that one spaces the rubber out to stop it being able to be pushed through the hole, and then you put this second plate on the outside, and because it overlaps the edge of this, it can't go anywhere then. So it's basically all it is. It's really nice little simple design actually. So just screw that in the middle like that, tighten him up, and that is 2 new indicators fitted. Well, actually no, it's 2 new indicator rubbers fitted with the original indicators, because I'm sad. And that's retained all the original plugs and all the original indicators barring the rubbers, and all the original hardware and everything, which is, this is a lot better quality than the aftermarket stuff that you get now. So that's why I did that. So that is good. Now all I've got to do is put the air duct back in this and put it all back on the bike. Sounds simple, but it's quite time consuming because it's all fiddly bits. So let's carry on. Okay, a little job I decided to do while I had the front fascia of the bike off is the 2 air vent grills were looking a bit sorry for themselves, so I've just give them a quick buzz back with a little bit of sandpaper around the edges and a scotch pad across the middle, a little bit of panel wipe and a nice coat of satin black. Now I'm probably going to give it another coat once that's dry. As you can see there, it's nice and shiny. I'll give it another coat of black just to give it some protection, and I may even give it a little coat of lacquer as well, just so they're shiny, because that'll hopefully, that was the only bit that was letting the front of the fascia down really, because all the headlights and everything look really bright, but the grills looked a bit manky. So done those, lovely jubbly. Let's carry on. There we go, freshly painted grills are back in the front nose cone, obviously along with the air ducts, which you can see in there, because obviously those grills are attached to the air duct. So that's smartened up a little bit. It was looking a little bit tatty with the grills being a bit sort of paint missing and whatever else. So a little bit of satin black and lacquer come out quite nice. Lovely jubbly. Let's carry on. Right, whilst I had the front fairing off, as you can see there, I decided to take the side fairings off as well. I've got that one off so far, which came off no problem at all, but the other side we're having a bit of an issue with, because this bottom bolt, which is down here next to the stand, hang on a second, stay there light, the bottom bolt there is just rounding off. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my little Dremel and I'm going to cut a slot in it, so it's got a straight slot in it, and hopefully I'll be able to get a big flat-headed screwdriver or screwdriver bit in my ratchet in there, and hopefully that'll get it undone, and we'll just put a new Allen headed bolt in there once we put it back. So I'm going to get this done and I'll come back to you in a minute. Right, as you saw there, I just cut a slot in that with the Dremel. I'm hoping that this is going to now undo with this flat-headed bit in the ratchet. Hopefully a little bit of pressure on it, because I couldn't get anything else in there to undo it. No, it's not having it. As you probably heard in the background there, I've got my 2 girls in the garage with me. They've been helping me take the side panels off, or the other side at least, and they've got the screws out of this side too. So they've been doing a bit of mechanicking with me, which is always good. Right, I'm going to have another little look at this and see what else I can come up with. I might just have to drill the head off and then get a pair of grips on it, and then we'll just renew the bolt after. Let's carry on. As you saw there, I've drilled the head off that bolt. Now I couldn't use any heat on it before, because obviously the fairing that it was going through was plastic and it would have melted it. So I'm hoping now I can just get these mole grips on there and give them a little squeeze up, go a bit tighter, and hopefully it'll undo. If it doesn't, I can now put a bit of heat on it, because the bracket that it's going into is metal obviously. May just get, it's gone now, look, see, there we go. So now we can get them on the end. There you go. And it's coming undone easy. Job done. That's that bolt out. So now I just need to get a matching bolt to put back in, obviously when we put the fairings back on. But the reason I'm taking these fairings off is so we can give the bike a real thorough clean on the backs of the fairings, and also on this area of the bike up here as well. So everything is going to be nice and clean everywhere. And also, while we've got the fairings off, we can paint these engine casings as well, both sides, give them a little buzz back and just paint the faces of them. I don't want to start taking loads of bits off, but obviously we'll do what we have to do to get it to look half decent. Also, you can see in there's the oil filter. So while we've got the fairings off as well, we're probably going to do an oil and filter change on it. So that makes sense to do while we've got the fairings off. And I may even do a rad flush on it as well, just to make sure that the coolant is all clean and new and the best it can be, so it won't overheat. Lovely jubbly, let's carry on. Rightio, with the fairings now off the bike, we can obviously see a bit more what's underneath. Now, there's obviously not a lot under here, it's just the engine, but I wanted to just give it a good clean up all round. And I'm going to take these grills off under here and paint these as well, same as what we did with the grills that were on the front fascia, because they just look a bit manky, and when you look down through the gap it looks nice if they're nice and black. So we're going to give this a good clean up. I've got some special motorbike cleaner now, which I'll show you. A bit of muck off motorbike cleaner, so hopefully that's going to do the trick and break all this gunk down, because obviously we have jet washed the bike briefly with some snow foam, but it didn't get all the gunk off, especially off the wheels it didn't. So I'm going to go around this now with that stuff, let it all soak in, and I've got a little brush as well that I'm going to use on it, a little detail brush. Not sure where I've put that. Oh, there it is. A little detail brush there. So I'm going to go over it with that and try and get all this grime off. Also, I'm going to clean up the backs of these panels, because they're a bit manky in there as well. Not that it doesn't make any difference really, but I just like to have things as clean as they can be. I'm also got to do a little repair on this one while it's off, because you can see it's got a crack in it there, which is that crack I showed you before on the front. So we've got to do something with that, make sure that's nice and strong again. Same with the other fascia that's up there. Got to take this middle section out. You can see the grime on that. It's really manky, so obviously that's where everything flicks off the front wheel into that, so it's going to get everything, you know. So we're going to give that a clean up on the back as well. I'm going to get the bike done first though, because whilst that's drying I can do the panels, and then we can try and address this paint on here, get that sorted out. Let's get the bike out on the drive and get some work done. Well, I'd say that stuff's pretty good. Look at that wheel. That was absolutely black before. Now it's grey again. That was really thick with dirt. I think it was just obviously all the chain lube off the chain. Now it's it needs some more going over, but I couldn't see where I'd gone and where I hadn't because it was so dirty. So now I've blasted that off. I'm going to go over it again with the degreaser and obviously do any bits I've missed and then blast it again. It certainly balled it up nice. Let me see around there. I know it's not necessarily not all absolutely necessary, but I just like to get it as clean as I can. It looks the part then, doesn't it? Lovely jubbly. I'm going to carry on with this. It's going to take me a fair while, I reckon, so I'm going to carry on. I won't film it, or otherwise you'll be bored watching me cleaning for hours on end. And once it's done, I can bring you back. Rightio, with the bike now back in the garage and pretty clean, as you can see in there. Look at that, engine's lovely and clean in there now, all degreased. Obviously a bit more of this paint has flaked off, but that's no problem because we was going to paint this cover anyway, and we'll do this one while we're there. tidy those up, although you don't see them when the fairings are on. When you look down here from the top of the gap, you'd see the top of this one. So I want to tidy those up. I've got some high temperature graphite grey to redo these with, and I've got some high temperature black, which I may even do these pipes with. Not that they're not mega rusty at the moment, which is why I want to do them now, to save them going any worse, if that makes sense. Also, I want to take these grills off, and by the looks of it, there's two 10mm in there, one either side, and then there is 2 screws on the bottom, one either side, and 2 screws on the bottom here, one either side as well. So I'm going to get those off, get those all wire brushed, give them a cut of satin black, just tidy them up a bit. Hopefully that'll make that look a bit more presentable, and we'll carry on from there. Let's go. There we go, those are unbolted. It's got 2 little clips on the top that hooks over the main part of the rad there, on either side, and then just 2 Phillips screws on the bottom of the big one. You can see it's pretty crusty, so I need to clean up. This one size 2 10mm and 2 screws. That's allowed the oil cooler to drop down now off the brackets. Someone's got a new horn for Christmas. Yeah, it's allowed the oil cooler to drop down off the brackets, which means I can get to this exhaust manifold a bit better under here to give that a clean up with some paper and give that a little coat of high temperature black. I may even try and get this rad out as well. I was thinking about flushing the rad, so it may be that I unbolt it off of these 2 mounts up here. I've got 1 10mm either side, and then we can get to that exhaust manifold all the way up then, and that'll be a nice job. So yeah, I think I may do that, even if I just unbolt it so that it drops away a little bit, so I can get to the exhaust manifold better. I'm not sure whether I should flush it or not, but I think I'm probably gonna, just because I'm there, and obviously it's while I'm in there I may as well do it, sort of thing, you know. So let's carry on. Rightio, we're going to drain out this coolant, as I just said. Got one little Jubilee clip on the bottom of the rad there, which thankfully has come undone fairly easily. Hopefully I'm not going to get this everywhere. I probably will. See what this looks like when it comes out. I think it's going to be pretty manky. Might be alright, but we'll see. This is where it goes everywhere. All over the floor. All over my leg, most probably. Ooh. Right, it's definitely got antifreeze in it, which is good. It's sort of greeny colour. Actually, it doesn't look too bad at all, to be fair. Probably could have left that in there. You see that? Yeah, it's in not bad condition by the looks of it. Which is great. It means that it's always had coolant in it, which means that the block won't be rotten inside, hopefully. Well, I don't think it will be, you know, but you never know, do you? So we're going to get that completely drained out. We've got 2 10mm up here, as I say. Let me just move you up so you can see. 2 10mm up the top here, in there. We'll get those off, get the rad off, and I'll come back to you in a second. Rightio, it would appear that this was a job I didn't need to do, because this coolant is absolutely fine. It's green, as you can see. There's no dirt in it apart from what's just dropped in there from the bucket, which is a shame. So what I think I might do even is filter it out through some paper, like shop towel or whatever, get any bits of little sediment that's in it out and reuse it, because there's nothing wrong with it. And as you can see inside the rad there, it's clean as a whistle in there. It's had antifreeze in it its whole life by the looks of it, which is absolutely superb. There's a little bit of corrosion on that end, on the outside where the pipe was, but I'm going to clean all that off, so that'll be all good. This one's got nothing on it at all, so I think we're actually okay on that side of things. But it has allowed me to get access to the pipes now, as you can see there. So I'm going to give those a clean up with some either wire brush or emery paper or something like that, and give them a coat of the high temperature black, just to try and give them a bit of protection, because obviously they do get everything under there from the front wheel. So I want to get set up doing that, and I'll come back to you in a minute. Right, as you can see there now, I've got the old blower heater, drying that off. Now you can see, as with most high temperature paints, it does dry really matte and horrible, and I don't like that finish. It's a bit manky to me, it wants a little bit more of a sheen. So I've actually got some high temperature lacquer, which I'm just going to give it a little coat of that, just to give it it doesn't dry mega shiny, it just dries sort of like a satin finish, as far as I remember, hopefully. So I'm going to give it a coat of that, and hopefully that will give that more of a factory look, because if you can see on that back pipe there, it's got a slight, not much, but it's got a slight shine to it, which is what I want to try and recreate if I can. So should look good, nice and protected all the way along. Lovely jubbly, let's carry on. Well, as you can see there now, I've got the lacquer on those manifolds, that's drying with a heater on it. Whilst that's been drying, I've got the coolant filtering through some paper. As you can see in the bottom of that bottle there, it is really clean, which is why I'm reusing it. That's the only reason. I would always normally put new stuff in, but that stuff is literally, looks brand new, so we're going to go with that. I've cleaned this up. This is the panel that goes behind the front wheel, front and back. That's all nice and clean now, lovely jubbly. And I've got the other two panels out here on the drive, drying in the sun. They're all nice and clean on the back now as well, so they look really good, nice and clean to go back on the bike. Obviously the front side I've done as well, but the front side's going to want some polishing as well. There is a few cracks here and there on the very bottoms. that I'm going to have to sort out. Nothing too major, nothing that you're going to see when it's on the bike. So that's those, they're really good. Next thing I'm going to do, whilst I've got easy access to it, is probably going to be an oil change, because obviously underneath here, right there, is the oil filter. So I'm going to take that off, do an oil change. I've also refitted the fuel tap, which is there. That's now screwed back in properly. I'm not going to put the tank and airbox back on yet, because the plug for the fan on the radiator is right underneath there, and I need to get to that obviously when I put the radiator back in. So I'm going to put the radiator back in again, which hopefully won't be too long, because I want to let those manifolds dry off a little bit, and then obviously I can start putting things back on the front there. So we're progressing, so I'm going to get you set up on a tripod and we'll get this all drained out, see what it looks like. Let's carry on. Rightio, let's get this all drained out. This is the plug. It's a 17mm nut, which is quite a fair old lump for a sump plug, but there we go. Check I've got this on undo. Always helps. Let's see what we get out of this. It wasn't too tight, so that's good. You can see that all right in the... bear in mind I've put about probably 3/4 of a litre, maybe a litre, no not a litre, 3/4 of a litre of oil in it. Blimey, that is really clean. You can still see through it. Really good. Sign of a healthy engine, that is. Really pleased with that. Obviously you can see it's been in there a while, but it's not sort of contaminated. There's no sparkles in it. It's fairly clean. A lot cleaner than I expected actually. So that is really good. So I'm going to let that drain out, then we can get this filter off just up here, change it over and refill it, and that'll be that job ticked off the list. Lovely jubbly. Let's carry on. Right, let's see if we can get this oil filter off. This is quite a small oil filter, obviously been on a bike, so my oil filter remover is right at the limit of it, what it can do. Ah, there it goes. Thank God for that. I didn't think I was going to be able to get that off for a minute, because it's as I say, because it's such a small filter. That was basically the limit of what my oil filter remover could do. That's all right, it's come undone. A bit more the old golden brown coming out. Looks good. It's definitely had a regular oil changes, and obviously this engine in this has only done 18,000 miles, so it's mega low mileage really for its age. So I expected it to be fairly clean, and that is really good. So this is a high flow oil filter that's on there. I've actually got a K&N I think to put back on, which usually associate with air filters, but let me have a look here. Yeah, there we go, look, K&N. So that's good. Get that, I'll let that drain out a bit more, because it looks like there's a lot more oil coming out of there. In fact, what I'm going to do, I want to lift this oil cooler up, because there'll be oil in the oil cooler lines as well, won't there? I'll get a bit more out of that then. Let all that drain out, and then we'll get the new one put on. Come back to you in a minute. There we go, that's the new filter on. Literally just twist it on, do it up as tight as you can by hand. Don't use a oil filter remover to do it back up again, because otherwise you'll never get it off when you want to come to get it off. This one you can see it's actually got a bolt head on the end of it, so you can actually undo it with a normal spanner or socket, which is kind of handy I suppose if you haven't got an oil filter remover to hand. So that's good. But I have to give that a little wipe. I've got some grease on it from where I got it off my fingers. That's installed. I think we're just about finished on the oil now, dripping out. It looks pretty black in there, but it's actually not that bad to be fair. It's seen a hell of a lot worse, put it that way. So I'm going to get the sump plug put back in, and then we can get it refilled with some fresh stuff. I've got this stuff here to use, which is the Silcoline Super 1040. So that hopefully will keep it nice, semi-synthetic, and that's what they recommended for this bike, so that's what it's got. I'll carry on and get this put in. Right, I got a bit carried away here. As you can see, I've got the side engine casing off now, because I figured it would be easier, whilst I've got the air oil drained, to take this side cover off, which is where the generator is housed in there. That's what obviously does your job of your alternator, what would be on a car. It's got this magnetic sort of, what do you call it, I don't know, magnetic housing effectively that spins with the engine and spins around a coil that stays still, and that's what gives you your power. So I've just unplugged that, while I had the oil drained out. Luckily enough, the gasket is still intact, so I can reuse that. I'll give it a clean up, maybe put a little bit of RTV either side of it just to give it a bit of extra sealing. That should seal up lovely. So I'm going to get all this cleaned up while I've got the oil drained out, and get that painted. It'll be a lot easier to do off the bike because I won't have to mask anything up. I can just paint it obviously once it's all rubbed back as it is. And I may even look on the other side of the bike whilst I've got the oil drained out again to see how easy those covers come off as well, because obviously if it makes it a lot easier to paint them while the oil's out and I can get the covers off easy, then I'll do it that way. So I'm going to have a look at that, and then we can start getting these refurbed. And once these are refurbed, hopefully then we can start putting stuff back on rather than keep taking it off. Let's carry on. Right there, I've got the other two side covers off, as you can see, and it is in absolutely blinding condition there. You can see the clutch is in very good condition. There's no gunk in there, it's all nice and clean, which is really good. Same in that area there, all nice and clean, fresh oil dripping, well not fresh oil, but the old oil dripping out of it. You can see there the casing. Unfortunately the gaskets didn't survive on this side, so I'm going to have to either make some new ones or buy some, one of the two. I'll peel all that off. I've got some gasket paper, I can probably make some new ones to substitute these. If not, I'll look online and see if I can get a couple. That's not too much of an issue. Now we can really go to town on these and paint them properly, and hopefully they'll look really nice. So you see there it's all peeling, so best to get them off completely and then we can do a proper job. Let's carry on. Right here, that's his first cover rubbed down completely, cleaned up, and the first gasket remade out of proper gasket paper. It's all resistant gasket paper. I use a little bit of RTV both sides as well, so obviously it seals nice. Before we do that, we're going to get this one painted, and then we can get the other ones rubbed down. That one over there and that one over there. So I'm going to get this set up on a piece of cardboard, get this one painted, and then I can carry on with the others. Right, second cover is now all rubbed down and masked up, as you can see there. That one is painted, it's had 3 coats so far. Now it is a slightly lighter grey, unfortunately, but obviously I'm doing all 3 covers and they're the only 3 that have got that grey on, so it won't make any difference. I'm going to give that a coat of the high temperature lacquer as well after, just to give it a little bit of a shine. It's like a sort of matte finish at the moment, which is okay, but the original one was a bit more shiny, so I'm going to get that one all painted. It took an absolute age to get that rubbed down and everything else. My daughter Lucy's been helping me, so she helped a lot of the wire brushing and rubbing down, which is great. And you can hear her over there with the sander. Right, I'm going to get this painted. Let's carry on. Rightio, as you can see there now, the 2 covers down there are drying nicely. Now this one, as you can see, it's got a lot more different shapes and things on it, and it was an absolute pain to rub down, but we've got there eventually. Now not all the paint's come off this one. This one, for some reason, the paint was a lot thicker on it than the other 2. Don't know why. So we're going to go with it as it is. It looks pretty good. Should be lovely and tidy once it's back on the bike. So we're going to get some grey paint on that now. A few coats and then some lacquer again, same as the other 2, and then hopefully in the morning, once it's all dry, we can start putting it back together. Lovely jubbly, let's carry on. Right, as you can see there now, all 3 covers are now painted. I have got a little bit of funny marks in the lacquer in places, but with them upright you can't really see it, so that should be fine. And obviously you don't see them all the way down because they're behind the fairings, so as long as they look tidy and presentable, that's all we need. So I'm going to get these put back on the bike now, and then hopefully we can start putting it all back together, as I've got parts everywhere at the moment. Let's carry on. There we go, covers are back on with new gaskets on this side with RTB between both sides of the gaskets as well, to hopefully seal it all up nice. Pretty pleased with how they've come out, almost looks factory. And then on the other side, obviously we've got the one with the Kawasaki logo on it, which is back on there. Now that one's using the original gasket because that came off in one piece, there was nothing wrong with that, so I've just put a little bit of RTB either side of it, and that looks smart as well. So now we are probably going to be putting the rad and stuff back in, I guess. So it's probably going to be the next job, and then start reassembling everything. So we are getting there, slowly but surely. Let's carry on. Right, just about to put the oil back in. I just thought I'd show you this. I've all gone gung-ho opening the box, and actually you don't have to, so I've had to tape it shut again because it's got a little easy open on the top. And the oil is actually in a plastic sort of bag basically inside. Can't really see that very well in there, but it's in a plastic bag in there. So you pop that bit of cardboard out and then flap this bit up, pull the nozzle through and hook it in so that it's in between that groove and the cardboard so that it holds it still, something like that. And then you flap that bit down and it holds the nozzle out, and then you can pour it in. So if you get any oil like this, don't go gung-ho on it and rip the box open like I just did, because you don't need to. So I'm going to get this new oil put in now. Now the covers have been on there overnight, so obviously the sealer's all gone off, so we can get it filled up. Let's carry on. Right then, I think that is a good place to end this video. We have got a lot done. We've got the exhaust done, got the oil change done, engine casings done, indicators put in here, other bits that I've probably forgotten about, the rad flushed out and that's all clean anyway, so that's good. Those grills have been painted. So we have got a lot of progress going on here. It's been really good progressive video, so that's great. In the next video, I'm hoping I'm going to get these cracks repaired in these fascias. I have got a new tool that's just arrived for that I'm going to try out, so hopefully that will repair those all right from the back, so you won't be able to see it. So that'll be good. And with any luck, we can get all this put back on, because it isn't actually that much to put back on, really, to be fair. Motorbikes are a lot simpler than cars, so that's great. It has gone a bit further than I expected as far as taking it apart, but that's fine, because obviously you find bits as you go along that you obviously think, oh, I'll do that, I'll do that, I'll do that. So one job always turns into 6 or 7. So yeah, I'm chuffed with how it's coming out. It's looking really good. Hopefully it'll be really tidy and be nice for getting back on the road again soon, with any luck. Hopefully within the next sort of couple of, well, within the next video, hopefully I want to get it started again. But obviously all together with the airbox and everything on, and obviously all the fuel taps linked up now as well, so hopefully it will run better because it's feeding the correct amount of fuel into the carbs, so we'll see. Remember, I've got Instagram, MEC_TEC1985, and I have got Facebook, MEC-TEC, for little sneak peeks of what I'm working on during the week. And all that is left for me to say is, if you want to join me soon for more automotive adventures, I'll see you again next time. Cheers guys.